We all have been enjoying these 3 days of Sahavas, tomorrow being the last day. And a thought comes to us as to whose companionship we have been enjoying for the last 3 days. Who is this individual who has brought together in his love so far distances as India and other parts of the world to share his love and companionship? My trying to describe him is absolutely futile. So I will try to bring in Bayezid of Bistam. Bayezid of Bistam was a perfect master in his own right. And this is what he has to write about his progress on the path to godhood. When Bayezid of Bistam had completed his journey to the state of fana, the state of annihilation, he mentions that he felt that no one else could have ever completed such a grand journey as that. And it is written in a book called The Ascension of Bayezid. It is one of the most beautiful literatures in Persian language. And in then Bayezid mentions that when I felt that none of us could have ever completed a journey the likes of which I have done, he says that where his journey had ended, he sees the footprints of Lord Prophet Muhammad. That's where Muhammad's journey begins. That is the difference between the man-God and the God-man. And eventually Bayezid advances himself and establishes in the state of Baqa, that state of infinite glory, where occasionally Bayezid would himself shout out, "Glory unto myself," which according to the Muslims would be a blasphemy. So this is the man about whom we are going to talk today, the infinite Lord of his creation, Meher Baba. Eruch has given me some points about Baba. Now when we mention that Baba is God, Baba is infinite, what sort of a picture would come to our mind's eye about this infinitude? At the most we could picture the vast ocean, the skies, or things like that. And this reminds me of an incident that happened in Poona in a botanical garden where Baba was staying. A man comes to Baba for his darshan, and after having had his darshan he sits down and he asks Baba, "Baba, could you explain to me this infinitude?" Baba smiled and said, "You won't understand. My trying to explain will be of no use to you." And after that Baba started immediately attending to other work, started talking this, that, and all of a sudden, while he is attending to so many other things, he says, I will speak first in Gujarati and then translate. That will be more beautiful. He says, "Je chhe te khudai chhe," whatever is God. And everyone sitting around, the Mandli and all, they are veterans in this path, and they say, well, everyone knows whatever is God. Why did Baba mention this? Again Baba started attending to his work, and suddenly he pops out, "Je nathi te bhi khudai chhe," whatever is not, that also is God. Well, we all know that is so. Then he started with his work again, and then he gestures, "Baki su rayo," what remains after that? Of course nothing remains. And then he says, "On an off chance that something might remain." Even on an off chance that something might have been left over, even that is God. And then he turned round to the man who had asked that question about infinity, and he says, "This is my state every second of my being. This is infinity." This is the explanation that Baba gave for infinity. Now about the man-God and the God-man. Eruch gave me a few hints to be conveyed to our Baba lovers here, that the difference between the God-man and the man-God is that Baba says, "I am God, I am everything, and I am everyone." Whereas a perfect master, the man-God, would say, "I am in everything and I am in everyone." That is the difference. God-man is, and the man-God feels that he is in everything. But whereas Baba would feel that Baba knows he is the stable. whereas the man-God thinks he is in the stable. That is the difference between their states. Again, Baba has also said to us, beloved Baba saying, I and you are one and the same. That has a meaning, because Baba says it with authority in this complete knowledge that he is the one and only one. He is the total oneness of all. But if I were to tell Baba that I and you are one, that would be again a blasphemy and stupidity on my part, because I do not have that feeling. This is the description that Eruch gave me for infinity of Baba. So this is just the beginning, an introduction to one, as beloved Baba says, who never requires an introduction. Now we will start with Baba's incidences. There will be some humorous ones and some that are, highly educative. Amongst the incidences of beloved Baba, there are two which appeal to me most. And these two I heard at Mehr Azad from dear Eruch. In the year 1955, a Baba lover from South India came running to Baba at Mehr Azad, and in a very desperate state of mind. And he says to Baba, beloved Baba, please help me. I am in great difficulty. And Baba says, what's your problem? So he says, Baba, I work in the railways, Indian Railways, and Indian Railways do not happen to be a private company, it's a government affair and that's why very badly managed. So this man says to Baba that I am working in the Indian Railways in their cargo section, and I, along with few others, have been accused of pilfering the goods. So Baba says, have you done that? Have you pilfered it? And he says, no Baba, I haven't. Again Baba kept quiet and he says, have you done that? He says, no Baba, no. After a few seconds, third time Baba says, think properly. He says, no Baba, I have not done that. Then Baba turned around and says, why all this fear and worry? Why did you have to come all the way from South India to Mehr Azad? Truth will always prevail. Don't worry, my nazar is on you. Now go home, nothing will happen to you. And there is dear Eruch interpreting all these things. He is very happy, that man, very happy that now beloved Baba's nazar is on me, his grace is on me, nothing will happen. He goes home. Eventually the matter comes to court, and the entire group is sentenced to 7 years rigorous imprisonment. And this information is read in the local papers. Eruch reads it and his mind starts to work. Here is a man who declares himself to be God. This poor lover comes all the way from South India and says, help me Baba. Baba says, my nazar is on you, truth will prevail, my grace is there, don't worry, go home. And here is 7 years of imprisonment. What's wrong? Where did it go wrong? And this thought would always pester Eruch. But Eruch either didn't dare or didn't bother to bring it up to Baba. After a couple of months, Baba tells Eruch, send letters to my Baba lovers in South India and inform them that such and such an individual has been imprisoned, and naturally his family must have been told to evict the quarters, railway quarters. So poor family, they must be on the roads Then all my Baba lovers should contribute, should help them, and make sure that they are comfortable in all ways. So letters go to various Baba lovers in the south, and naturally orders coming from the supreme headquarters, and they are taken care of. About a year or two later, a letter comes from the prison, from this man to Baba, and he says, beloved Baba, I hear that thanks to your letters to your lovers, my family has been well taken care of. There is no way in which I could express my gratitude to you, and truly I offer you all my salutations for all the help you have given me. This letter too was read out by dear Eruch to Baba, and Baba says, put it. 7 years elapse, and this is now 1962. The East-West gathering comes, and this man is now out of the prison, 7 years complete. And he is one of the men who is standing in the queue to have beloved Baba's darshan. His turn comes, he bows down to Baba and is walking away. Those days Baba's chair was put on a very high stage, the idea being that no one should put his head on Baba's feet with great force. Baba had suffered injuries from the 2 car accidents, and his legs were a bit tender and So doctors had advised him no undue pressures anywhere. The idea being that the stage was made high so that you could only just gently rest your forehead on his feet and then walk away. This man does that and he walks away from Baba. On one side of Baba is Eruch, tall and hefty. On another side there is one Dr. Hoshang Bharucha from a different part of India. And Baba said to these two, and put him on the stage, grab him and put him on the stage. So Eruch shouts out to him and calls him back. He comes and is looking at Eruch, and all of a sudden these two hefty ones grab him by the shoulders and hoist him up on the stage. And now Baba says, come here. He comes to Baba and Baba says, free now, aren't you? He says, yes, Baba. Oh, rigorous imprisonment must have been very, very bad. Yes, Baba, it was quite tough. Then Baba says, come very close to me. And now, all this is going on between three people, the Lord himself, his slave and Eruch. And Baba brings him very near to himself and he says, at least now tell me the truth. And this man says, Baba, my share was the biggest of that loot. I have stolen the most. And Baba says, didn't I tell you, ask you 3 times, tell me the truth, and that time you said you hadn't done anything wrong. And I said, truth will prevail. All this was being done because Eruch had those thoughts. Then he calls him still nearer, gives a tweak to his ears, and he says, never do this again, go home. I will take care of everything. The thing that appealed to me most in this story was that here is beloved Baba seated. 50 to 60,000 human beings with Western lovers also present there. It would have been very easy for this man to expose this individual to all the 60,000 human beings gathered there. But the Lord had not come to expose our weakness one to the other. He had come here to put a curtain over it and to accept of us with all our weaknesses, our faults, everything he accepted. And with love, he brought this man back to the right track. And then Eruch realized that it was not Baba's fault, but this man himself had been a rogue. He goes home, and then soon after that comes a letter that, beloved Baba, thanks to you the railway authorities have totally forgiven me and again given me back my job. In India jobs don't come easy, so that was quite something. Jai Baba. This is a story of another Baba lover. Sometime in the mid-50s or late 50s, I'm not sure. Kindly forgive me for the years and the dates. Baba went to South India for Darshan program, and it was a very long program, nearly I think a fortnight or even more. And Baba was traveling from city to city, village to village, place to place, giving darshans. And his darshan program begins in South India, Madras, someplace that side. And a total stranger comes for Baba's darshan. He comes there, bows down to Baba, he observes him. He's not convinced, but he is attracted. He feels inquisitive. He wants to know more about this individual who so very brazenly declares himself to be God. Then he decided how to know more about this man. So he quickly ran off from the darshan pandal, the place where the darshan was held, goes to his office and asks for a fortnight's leave. And somehow or other he immediately gets the leave. Comes running back with a small bag, and after that he started following beloved Baba from place to place and village to village. And he sees beloved Baba working with his creation. And slowly the conviction dawns that this is no joke, that by some hook or crook or by some great good fortune, he has managed to come to the very source of creation. And he accepts beloved Baba as the Lord of this age. And now he's following beloved Baba from place to place, place to place. And as he's following, a thought comes to his mind, if I could have one of those garlands, we Indians have this habit of garlanding beloved Baba. We saw that in the films last night. And he said, if I could have one of these garlands, I will put this garland on my prayer table. That is another thing with the Indians. No matter how small a house they will always have one corner where they'll put beloved Baba's picture, lamp a light in the morning, say their prayers, and then attend to their worldly works. So he wanted to do that. But being a total stranger in this huge crowd of humanity, he did not dare express his wish. Things are going on like that, and he's following Baba, and eventually a time comes when Baba is in the last place of darshan. From there he is now going back to Mehrabad, and this wish is there in his heart. The darshan program is over. He is waiting there. Baba has already retired in his room, and dear Eruch is wiping his face full of sweat and perspiration. Baba might have had a drink of water, and while Eruch is attending to his comforts, Baba snapped to Eruch and told him to come near, because there were a lot of other human beings. And Baba says, go and announce that beloved Baba wants to see Mr. So-and-so. Mind you, neither that man nor Baba had any personal conversation. All that he had done was bow down to Baba. Eruch also does not know. There are so many Raos in South India, you never know who he is. All surnames end in Rao. R-A-O, that's the spelling. So Eruch goes to the mic and says, Mr. So-and-so, beloved Baba wants you. And this man, his ears stick up. He's wondering whether it's for me or what. Again Eruch announced, and he felt it's for me only. So he comes over to Baba. Eruch entered Baba's room, again closed the door. He knocked at the door, and Eruch must have shouted, come in. He opened the door. But even as he's about to step into the room, beloved Baba picked up one of the hugest garlands that is there, the biggest one, and threw it at him. And he says, out. Finished. No more questions or answers. After beloved Baba dropped his body, this man comes to Mehrabad and Mehrazad, meets Eruch, and he tells him, do you remember that incident? And for Eruch it is very difficult, because so many things take place, this plays and byplays with Baba, that you can't remember. And then he says, this and this had happened, and Baba threw a very big garland at me, and I've still got that garland. And this is what he then tells Eruch. I wish to God I had asked for God and not for garland. Because I'm sure that beloved Baba would have granted that wish too. Jai Baba. Again, talking about that same darshan program in the south, Baba is going from one place to the other, when in a very small village, hardly any roads or anything to it, at one junction of those, it's more like a trail rather than a road. Baba told the driver to stop the car. The car was halted, and Baba is, out of the car, strolling aimlessly. No one understood what's going on. 5-10 minutes elapsed, and there's a small shop there, a small restaurant, very, very small. You Americans could hardly ever imagine it. They have a few soft drinks like lemonades and things like that, no refrigerator, and to keep them cool, what the man does is he puts these bottles in an earthenware jar full of water. That's how he keeps them cool. And Baba says, you're all tired and waiting for a long time. Tell that man to serve lemonade. One of Baba Mandli goes to him and he says, we want drinks. And fortunately he had enough bottles to go around for the whole crowd. Served it. Then Baba says, go and pay him the money. And this is what this man says, a total stranger. He says, I've been looking at your man, that other man, who is gesturing and doesn't seem to be speaking. And the Mandli member said, yes. He says, this man reminds me of Ram. So I don't want to take any money from him. So the Mandli member came back to Baba and says, this is it. Then Baba called him near, embraced him, and said, my nazar is on you. Always be sure to do your business in an honest fashion. Now go and attend to your business. Then again the waiting is there. And then suddenly from a long distance they see a huge mass of humanity coming in. And these happened to be poor villagers from another village close to this village. And they had heard that the Lord will be passing through from here on his way to such and such a city. And they wanted to intercept him and have his darshan there. If beloved Baba had not halted, they would have lost that chance to have his darshan. And Baba, knowing full well what is going to happen, had told them to stop here. The crowd came, they had Baba's darshan, went home very happy, and then Baba said, proceed. This is another. Jai Baba. Another thing I notice about Baba is, unlike the philosophers and the religious teachers, if they want to carry over a point, they will write about 10 to 11 volumes. Yes. and each volume would be as dull as the other. Yeah. The only good purpose for this volume is to escape from insomnia. But with Baba it is not so. He will strike the nail right on the head and convey the point. And on one occasion at Guru Prasad, a yogi comes to beloved Baba. Yogis, of course, I'm sure you all know, are people who dabble in, various spiritual exercises, awakening of the inner consciousness, and this in its wake gives you certain powers which are of no much use to us. On the contrary, they are an obstacle on the path. Anyway, this yogi comes to Baba, has Baba's darshan, sits down, and Baba says, well, what do you do? He says, well, I'm a yogi, Baba, with a reasonable amount of pride in himself. Good. And I said, what is yoga? And he starts. You put your hand this way and you put your feet that way, and you do this, and by so doing you can cure yourself of this disease, and by so doing you can free yourself from this strain. Baba strings him along all the time. Tells Eruch, very big brains, very big. And the yogi is more happy. The Lord says, I've got big brains. After all the dissertation is over, Baba says, well, my definition of yoga is a bit different than yours. And this man is all attention. And he says, yes, Baba, what is your definition? And Baba puts the whole thing in 2 words. You go and I come. When you go, I step in. This is yoga. Another thing beloved Baba had explained was, that on the path, it is always the heart that counts and not the mind. And this is the explanation that was given. As an organic part of the human body, it's a very small organ, the heart. And the child is born. And then in that heart, there is room for only 2 people, the mother and the father. The child begins to grow up. There are more children in the family, and the heart of the child expands a bit, and there is room for his brothers and sisters. Now the child grows up, starts attending school, and in the school there are friends who are very special to him. The heart has opened a wee bit more. The friends enter. He grows big, falls in love with a girl, or the girl falls in love with a boy. Heart has opened up a wee bit more. Another one enters. Get married, children, again expansion, children get into the heart. It goes on. Eventually the child grows up, becomes a responsible citizen, becomes an earning member of the society, and then he looks at his community, the area he is staying, and he falls in love with that area. He says how neat and clean it is. The heart has opened up a wee bit more and the whole community has gone in. And slowly and steadily the expansion keeps on taking place. Till at last beloved Baba says, a time comes when the heart expands fully and the whole universe gets into it. This is how it works. The heart is the main thing, not the mind. Another explanation given was, for us worldly people, these are some of the most beautiful explanations. We begin with any individual here, and, Sam is born, and maybe that the birth of this man could be represented by the figure 1. He grows up, begins to go to school, gets through his high school, and with flying colors and with great pride he puts a 0 after 1 because that is his achievement. He has a right to do so. Goes to the university, gets a degree, another 0. That is his achievement, his pride, his joy. It is right to do so. But unfortunately what is happening is that with the zeros being added, the unity has been disturbed. He becomes big, marries, has children, family, becomes an earning member of the society, becomes a rich man maybe, has big bank balance, cars, house, this, that, everything. But as all these things increase, in geometric measure, his worries also increase. He has turned in the night, his daughters are away, they haven't come back till about 1 or 2 in the morning. What the hell is going on here? Tomorrow morning, first thing I'll scold them. And hardly that thought is over. Oh, these income tax people are after me. Oh, what shall I do about this? Then business is not flourishing, orders are not coming in. I hope beloved Baba will take care of all this. And these tensions and these worries keep on increasing. And one fine morning, he feels as if he's a man who's been underwater a long time, and he tries to come out and like that, you know. And that's the moment when the Lord steps in and he says, now relax. Everything that you have done is just right, but now I'll tell you how to do it in the real right fashion. So he takes a duster, wipes out all the zeros after the one, and he says, well, this is one, Sam. Which year did you get through your high school? So and so. So he says, now I'll take up a chalk, and he marks a zero to the left of the one. Then he goes to the university, another achievement, zero to the left of the one. Like that, all the zeros are now coming to the left of the one, and the unity is never disturbed. And this is how Baba says, the meaning of the words, be true to the trust that I repose in you. This is my feeling, I may be wrong. But that's what we should be doing, that putting the zeros to the left of the one and never to the right of the one. On one occasion at Mehr Azad, many of you Baba lovers who have gone to Mehr Azad must have met our Baba lover, our monthly member Aloba, the gentleman who gives us the delicious afternoon tea. Yes. No, don't laugh. I mean, with all his whimsicalities, he's a lion of a man. We must not forget that. So this is a story that Aloba told me once. It's regarding a Persian Baba lover by the name of Asfandyar Vaishali. Beloved Baba had sent circulars and messages that he would be giving darshan. I personally think it is the East-West gathering, but I may not be sure of it. I think it was. Whatever it be, Baba had given a call for the darshan program. And before this East-West gathering is to take place, Aloba receives a letter from Asfandyar Vaishali from Persia saying, Aloba, how I wish to attend this darshan program, but I just don't have the finances for it. I'm not sure, but there is one of the problems that anyone living in Iran has to pay a very heavy tax to the government. And, you know, maybe one of the ways of making money for the government, like whatever it be. So he has to pay this big tax before departure from the country, his air ticket, and so many other expenses come up. And he says, I have got no money for all this trip. But yet, in my heart of heart, I want to be with Baba, because it's been many, many years that I have not seen beloved Baba or had his darshan. Aloba, being a very kind-hearted man, and especially this letter coming from his own country, rushes off to Baba and says, Baba, there's a letter from Iran. Baba says, read it. So Aloba read the whole letter, and then Baba gave the message. He says, now you go to your room and write a letter to Vaishali and tell him that your letter was read to beloved Baba, and beloved Baba wants that Vaishali should go. He was owner of a farm, an orchard, and Baba said Vaishali should go to each and every tree in his orchard and say to the tree, well, tree, I have to go to India for beloved Baba's darshan. Please help me to get the money for that. Aloba looked at Baba and thought that this is one of the ways Baba is joking or something. But since Baba's orders were there, he wrote this letter to Asfandyar. The letter reaches Asfandyar, and there at the other end, Asfandyar takes this letter absolutely seriously. So along with that letter, he goes to each and every tree in his orchard and says, well, tree, I have to go for beloved Baba's darshan and see that I get the money for doing so. And that is the end of it. And that particular year, there is a very heavy frost in that part of Iran. And all the orchards round about, all the trees are destroyed. But here is Mr. Asfandyar Vaishali sitting in his orchards, trees literally loaded with fruit. They're literally bent down with fruit. And because all the other orchards were totally destroyed by the frost, he was selling fruits at a price that he commanded. With the result, he got enough money to pay the government tax. He had enough money to go to India, stay there and come back to him. Iran. This is one of the stories. Jai. On one occasion, beloved, this is again from Eruch. On one occasion, beloved Baba was sitting with the Mandli, and all of a sudden Baba said, when two people are angry, they shout at each other, even though they might be sitting close to each other, like Nick and Georgian, and yet they would be shouting at each other. So Baba asked all Mandli members one by one, how is it that they shout at each other? And each Mandli member in his own way gave the answer which could be partly right and partly wrong. Some said it is because more energy comes up, some said that adrenaline glands are working overtime, there's that, whatever it be. Baba heard all these things and then he said, no, there is a special reason behind it. And then he says, supposing two men are at a great distance, how would they communicate? And they said, well, naturally they'll have to shout at each other. And Baba said, when two people get angry, the distances between their hearts become great. Though physically they might be near to each other, but the distances of the heart become very great, and that is the reason they have to shout at each other. Then he says, what happens when the distance gets closer and closer? A boy and a girl in love. They'll be strolling by the seashore or in the mountains, and no matter how close you try and approach them, you won't be able to hear a single word, because they'll be murmuring to each other. And when that love reaches its highest intensity, they will just hold hands and walk. There'll be no need for words. And that is the reason Baba said why I am observing silence in this Advent. Jai Baba. This is a story I narrated already at Baba Center, but with this bigger gathering, I'll try and repeat it again. Beloved Baba with his lovers was in Hamirpur, a certain area in central India. Now this particular area in India, majority of the people are Baba lovers, and they are real Baba lovers. Their whole heart is for Baba. And so Baba goes there for darshan program and has, meets his lovers, all that. And he's putting up in the house of one of his lovers. And in this particular part of India, we have a certain type of berries, bit sweet and sour, very delicious to eat. Sometimes greenish in color, sometimes yellowish in color. They're round berries, and they grow absolutely wild in that region. No one even looks at them. And the Mandli are staying in a house which is a Baba lover house. Baba is there inside. And whilst strolling in his farm, everywhere these trees are growing. So quite innocently they pluck these berries and start eating them. Baba from a distance, sitting on the veranda, saw this. He clapped and called them near to him. And then Baba asked, what were you doing? They said, Baba, we were eating berries from that tree. Baba said, did you ask the permission of the landlord? And they said, no, Baba. I mean, it's absolutely, unimaginable. He's a Baba lover. What permission to ask? He's put the whole house at the disposal of the Lord and his companions. He said that, no, Baba, we didn't ask for his permission. So Baba then called the landlord and stood up before him with folded hands. And he says, on behalf of my Mandli members, I ask you to forgive me, because without your permission they ate berries from your trees. Just goes to show the height of truth which is required when we are with beloved Baba. Jai Baba. Now a few stories to illustrate beloved Baba's humor. And it was one of the very tremendous high sense of humor. In the year 1958, beloved Baba gave a Sahavas, and on that occasion I was present for that Sahavas. I was home on leave And the Sahavas is going on, and it is afternoon time. And in India, afternoon time is tea time. And at about 3 o'clock that particular afternoon, beloved Baba was being entertained by a group of singers singing ghazals and qawwalis and things like that. I am sitting there, and listening to the Qawwali as well as looking at beloved Baba once in a while. And suddenly this Qawwal keeps repeating one particular line in Urdu. Roughly translated, it would mean that if you cannot quench my thirst, don't declare yourself to be ocean-hearted. And he kept on repeating these lines. And they were important to me also, because as we all know, beloved Baba doesn't dish out that wine so very fast. So I wanted to know what reaction beloved Baba would be having. And Baba says, come on, continue with the song. And he keeps repeating this line all the time. That if you cannot quench my thirst, don't declare yourself to be ocean-hearted. And Baba says, come on, proceed further. And whilst this play is going on, unfortunately for the singer and me, the man with the kettle full of tea comes and approaches him. And suddenly Baba snaps his finger, everything stops. The kettleman looks at Baba and Baba says, 2 cups of tea, he is very thirsty. Another occasion, by beloved Baba's grace, I was in India again, in Poona, Guru Prasad. And all of a sudden, our Nariman and all were, even, they were in our midst those days. And all of a sudden, Baba says, what movies are running in Poona? And in some movie house or other, Laurel and Hardy, Baba's great favorites were running. So Baba said, we all of us will go and attend this movie. Nearly 23 or 24 of us. And by great good fortune, I was also one of them. So we all troop into this movie house. It's more like a barn than a movie house, very old thing. And front row is occupied by Baba, and we are sitting behind. And I was sitting behind Eruch, and Eruch is on this side, Baba is on this side. And there we are all enjoying Laurel and Hardy, laughing, and very good time. Baba also is laughing and all. And maybe another half an hour yet more for the movie to be over, and suddenly Baba does this. My attention is drawn there. I'm seeing what is going on, and Baba says, let's go. So Eruch says to Baba, Baba, in another half an hour's time the movie will be over. And I said to myself, thank God, because I also did not want to leave the house. After all, it's Laurel and Hardy. So when Eruch said that, I was very happy. And Baba said, okay, be seated. As he did this, the lights went off. In India, this is very common, the lights going out. Then after 1 or 2 minutes, Baba turned round to Eruch and says, you still want to wait, Eruch? Eruch says, no, we'll leave Baba. Yeah. This is a story that was told to me by a Baba lover from Karachi, very old Baba lover, Minu Kharas. I used to visit Minu Kharas whenever my ship would be at Karachi and stay with him. We were Baba lovers. So we were staying there, and at breakfast or some such occasion, all the time we'd be talking about Baba. Minu would ask me what's happening there and this and that. And this is what Minu told me. His next door neighbor happened to be an Indian who was the foremost jockey in Karachi. The one who rides horses for the races. And he had won a couple of first prizes, topmost. He was the cream of that particular thing. And since Minu Kharas was his neighbor, this jockey would always tell him, come on Minu, come and see the race. And Minu would say, look, Meher Baba has told me never to gamble. And this jockey would say, every now and then you bring in Meher Baba, Meher Baba. Well, if you don't want to gamble, don't gamble. I'll give you a pass. Come and watch the races at least. Once in a lifetime, see them, how they are played and this and that. And Minu Kharas said to himself, yes, if I don't gamble, if I don't bet on the horses, I'm not breaking Baba's orders. I can see the races, no problem. And since he's giving me a pass, there'll be no waste of money. So he says, okay, fair enough, give me a pass whenever you're riding a good horse. So the due time comes for him to go to the races, and he gives him a pass. He says, today is a big cup, you definitely come, you'll enjoy it. So Minu Kharas is there, goes to the race course. The race begins, there is this jockey going away, and all of a sudden, what goes wrong no one knows, but the jockey toppled over from the horse, broke his leg. And there's no question of the race now. He's picked up, hospitalized, taken to the hospital. Treatment has started, he's in the plasters. And Minu Kharas, out of sheer decency, goes to visit him in the hospital. And he goes there and he says to this man, well, I'm sorry, And this man says, now listen to me, Minu, very carefully. Next time I see you within a mile of the race course, I'll kill you. I'm sorry, nearly all my, at least the stories that I remembered are over. So I think I'll wind up by saying that I'll now perform my duty by thanking the American Baba lovers for having invited me to this Sahavas, and especially the LA Baba group here. Jai Baba. Sufi stories?
You said you had some more.
Yes. I remember only one of them. I put the papers in thinking that now I'm telling Baba stories. I put that there and brought this one here. Anyway, I remember one. I'll narrate that. On this path, there are two basic requirements. The time and the place should be right for one to enter this path on his way back to the Lord. And this story illustrates how it is done. There was a certain individual named Jafar from Andalusia in Spain. And Jafar was a real searcher of God. So when he becomes a young man, 26, 30 years old, he goes in search of a master. He also realized that any advancement on this path could not be had unless by the grace of a master. And he feels that search of a master should always be in the East, because very rarely you would find a master in the West. That was his feeling. So he left home in the search of a master and goes right up to Basra and Baghdad. Because he was a genuine searcher of the Lord, in the marketplace in Baghdad, he met Khizr, the invisible guide, the perfect one who guides, he is known as the invisible guide. And if I'm not mistaken, in the Jewish literature, he is called Elias or something like that. That's how he is known, Khizr. And he met this green one. He is known as the green one for the simple reason that he is normally dressed in green. And Khizr tells him, well, Jafar, what are you doing here in the marketplace of Baghdad? And Jafar said, well, I've come in search of a master. And Khizr says, Jafar, there are two things that are wrong in your search. One is the place. You have to go back to Andalusia for your master. There inquire for one Ibrahim, son of Arabi, belonging to the tribe of Tai. He is your master, and he is the greatest master of this age. Go and find him. So then Jafar works his way back to Andalusia, reaches the place where he's been guided, makes inquiries for a man named Ibn Arabi, belonging to the tribe of Tai. And people guide him to a school that, well, he's there. And Jafar thought he must be the teacher of that school. The school disperses, all the young kids come out, the teacher comes out, and Jafar approaches him and he says, are you Ibrahim, son of Ibn Arabi, belonging to the tribe of Tai? And he says, no, I am not that man, but you see that 7 years old child going by? He is that child. Jafar goes to him and he says, are you Ibrahim, Ibn Arabi, son of belonging to the tribe of Tai? And he says, yes, I am that. And then he says, Jafar asked him, are you the greatest teacher of this age? And the child answers, Jafar, I require time to answer that question. And Jafar said, oh, I have no need for you. And he walks away. 30 years later, Ibrahim, Ibn Arabi has now established himself as the perfect master of that age, known in the English literature as Grand Maximus, the great master. And he is holding his court, and Jafar comes back to him and enters the place with a bowed head. And Ibn Arabi sees him and he says, well, Jafar, you still don't have any need of me? And Jafar does not say anything. And then Ibn Arabi continues and he says, do you remember the green one you met in the marketplace of Baghdad? And Jafar says, yes. And you remember he said there were two things that were wrong in your search? And Jafar remembers and he recollects that incident. He says, yes, I recollect. And Ibn Arabi said, the two things that were wrong was the place. You went looking for your master in the east, while I was all the time in the west. And the other thing that was wrong was the time. 30 years had to be elapsed before you could really surrender to me. Now come and sit down. This is one of the stories I remember.
Sam, I remember two more stories that you told us at Chris's house.
Yes.
One was there was a joke that Baba played.
Yes.
And the other was the story of creation
Yeah.
between Rumi and God.
Okay, yes. I'll first tell you the story of Rumi. How love came into the hearts of both the creator and the creation. It's a beautiful story, and this is how it goes. When first the infinite one became awake, as we have read in the God Speaks, how beloved Baba explains that the infinite ocean was unconscious and comes to that state of consciousness. So in that awake state, that infinite one gives a call. Is there anyone around? And profound silence is there because there is no one except him. He gives a call again. Is there anyone around? And profound silence. Who could there be except the Lord? Third time he gave the call. Is there anyone around? And again there is no answer. And that really scared the Creator. He says, oh my God, I'm all alone. And so he starts the creation. Let's not go into how he did it. Maybe it took 7 days or 2 days, I don't know. But he started the creation and we are here. And he was very happy because now the game of the lover and the beloved could be played. But how did the love originate in our hearts, in the hearts of creation? According to the Islamic philosophy, there are two aspects. The Lord and his counterpart, the devil. So one day devil goes to the Lord and he says, well, Allah, you created me, but what purpose do I serve? You have to give me weapons to entice your creation away from you. And Allah says, yeah, you are right, I have to do that. So Allah then created the big cities and beautiful places. And Satan looked at them and he says, yes, good. But then after a wee while he says, but there'll be some crazy people who will forsake all these things in your name. Give me something better than that. Then Allah created wealth and jewelry and precious stones and this and that. And then Satan looked at it and he's happy, yes, this is something better. But he says, no, there are crazy people who will even forgo all these things for you. Give me something better than this, a better weapon to entice them. And God created food and wines and this and that. And Satan said, no doubt the weapons are improving. But still there are fools who will give up all these things for the love of you. Give me something better than that. And so then God created the female form, the most beautiful form. And Satan gave one look to it and he went mad with joy. And he says, yes, this is the ultimate weapon. No. There is no laughter about it. Someday I will be a woman and some ladies will be men. It's going to be there. We'll all have to experience these things, So anyway, Satan looks at this beautiful female form and he says, this is the ultimate weapon. No one can escape it. And that's a fact. It is that. And the Creator realized that he had made a mistake by giving this form to the Satan. And on realizing this mistake, there are tears in the eyes of the Creator. And creation saw these tears in the eyes of the Creator. And from there, they judged the intense love that Creator had for his creation. And it was these tears that watered the seeds of first love in our hearts for him. Jai Baba. One time I was at Satara, and this is in the year 1954. Baba called me when I returned back to India, to Satara. There I am sitting there near beloved Baba, and one of the jokes that he cracked on me was that, well Sam, do you know me? And I said, yes, of course Baba, I know you. And then he turns around to the Manli and he says, well, spent 30 years and 40 years at my feet and still you don't know me. And here is Sam, he knows me. And I said, Baba, I don't know you in that sense. I only know that you are God and that's all. And he says, okay, forget it. And then the routine of the day begins. Eruch starts reading the letters. And one of the letters comes from Meherazad, from Bariya Kaka. You must have heard the name of Bariya Kaka, very old member of the Manli. And the postcard says to Baba that when Krishnaji had come for Baba's darshan, he had stayed with Baba also. Unfortunately, he did certain things. Even today, I'm told that, he declares himself to be one of those self-appointed God-man or master. But that is not for us. I'm just trying to draw our attention to the type of individual who had come to Baba. And the postcard says that Krishnaji has come to Meherazad and it is very cold over here. So Bariya Kaka writes that, well, I have opened Gustaji's trunk. Gustaji is the one who was observing silence on Baba's orders. So I've opened up Gustaji's trunks, taken out all the woolen clothing and given it to this man Krishnaji. Now Gustaji was the type who would preserve all his good clothes and put on rags only. And Baba would so many times tell him to wear these good clothes and remove the rags, but he would never listen to Baba. And then Gustaji is hearing this letter and he's turned absolutely red. He was a very fair man, like Baba. He turned absolutely red. And Baba says, there you are, I told you. Put on your good clothes, put on your good clothes. And here you are in rags and there is that Krishnaji wearing your best suits and all that. And Gustaji says, my God, when I go there, I'll kill him with my own hands. Baba keeps on fingering. He says, what's the use of killing him? He has already put on all your good clothes now. No, how dare Bariya Kaka open my trunk? You write to him that he should never touch the property of other Manli members. There's that. Oh, it went on for hours together. At least I, for one, took it absolutely seriously. And then when Gustaji was about to, burst one of his nose, Baba said, now calm down, calm down. This letter was written by Eruch and posted from Satara only. Jai Baba. Dooney right here or at the Dooney?
No, yeah, here.
The origination of Dooney began in Meherabad somewhere in the early 1920s. And according to what dear Eruch informed us, the reason behind this was that Ahmednagar, like now, was having a very severe drought for 2 years running. And the poor villagers of that area were desperate for water. Beloved Baba had just come to that area then and was not so well known to all these people. Anyhow, the village is very close to Meherabad. Many of you must have heard about Arangaon village that is next door. And this incident took place because of these villagers. So they had heard that one Meher Baba has come. They all troop over to Baba at Meherabad, had his darshan, and then said, beloved Baba, please help us. Otherwise, we'll be totally ruined. Our farms are dried up, our animals are starving. There is no way we can, get over this difficulty. If you could help us and bring the rains, we'll be, eternally grateful to you. Baba heard their story and says, now don't worry. Go back home straight off. Don't waste your time. Don't linger on the way. Go straight home. Many of them did exactly that. A few who were fools, they lingered around, started chatting with friends, this, that and that. In the meantime, here in the Manli hall, Baba instructed the Manli to collect, withered twigs and things like that, pieces of log and all. And he said, now dig a hole in this particular spot. The spot was pointed out by beloved Baba. The hole was dug up, all these twigs and logs and things were put in. A bit of oil was added to it and it was set fire. And though it was absolutely bright sunshine and clear skies, Within no time at all, the sky got overcast and the rains began. If I'm not mistaken, then they fell for well over 24 hours and totally inundated the whole area. This is the reason how the Dooney originated. And many of you who have attended Amar Tithi would know that beloved Baba had even asked his Mandali members to compose a song in the honor of the Dooney. And each Mandali member made an effort, but eventually the best song was the one composed by the Lord. And there Baba has described this Dooney as his really cooperated, and they dug up further 5 feet down, and sure enough, they struck water. And next day this man comes all beaming with smiles and lot of sweetmeats and good things, good cookies and all for Baba, and says, beloved Baba, you answered my call and saved me. And the family had Baba's darshan and they all departed. Now the Mandali members are all furious that we are digging one well after the other in Mehrabad and there is no water. And they bring this matter up to Baba and say, Baba, how come you gave water to that man and we are struggling here and there is no water on Mehrabad property? And Baba said that, well, if I had not helped this man, his faith would have been shaken up and he would have lost faith in me. But with you all who are with me for so many years, now there is no question of faith. You are with me because of your conviction that I am God. And conviction is always much, much higher than faith. And with you, whether I promise to give you water in your wells or I don't, you will remain with me all the time through thick and thin. And that is why there is no need for me to perform the miracles. These are few of the explanations that Baba gave for the Dooney. And on one occasion, it seems beloved Baba had ordered all those who were present, Mandali and others, that they should troop by this Dooney and put a twig inside, with a thought that with this small offering, they are going to burn away at least one of their weaknesses that are present there. And Don Stevens had a very beautiful story to narrate about this particular incident. It seems he was present there and he offered this with a particular thought, and he did it completely in total either ignorance or innocence, never knowing that the repercussions would be so very tough. And then he says how he had to go through so many other things and all. That's how it is. So this, I think, is a small introduction to the Dooney and how it came to be started in Mehrabad. Jai Baba.